Eddie Hearn says Errol Spence Terence Crawford does 500 to 600,000 pay-per-view buys. Does it top Davis Garcia? What's good, everybody? It's your boy Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So Eddie Hearn feels that the Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford fight won't surpass the Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis fight and will only be able to generate 500 to 600,000 buys.
See, what I like about Tank is Tank brings something different. You know, back in the days, everybody had something. Muhammad Ali was a mover boxer. Larry Holmes had a jab. Mike Weaver had overhand right. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has something. That division now is full, and Tank having to be the knockout guy of the division. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I like Tank. Every now and then, I think when he knows he can beat somebody, he probably don't lock in as hard, but I think when they bring challenges, he locks in.
I just wanted to get my 2 cents on this, let you guys know what I think, whoever's listening, and break that down just a little bit. Alright, so does this fight actually do well in pay-per-view numbers? I've been saying for a while, if you go back, check all my previous videos, I've said that it would do from 500 to 1 million buys. And I think that's still very realistic, but I'm actually more optimistic now, seeing what Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis was actually able to accomplish. I really think that Errol Spence and Terence Crawford could either tie that or surpass it, you know, with a fight of this magnitude. You would think that undisputed means something. Devin Haney just fought Vasyl Lomachenko for undisputed. The fight didn't do the pay-per-view numbers that Ryan and Tank did, but it did very well. It still did extremely well. But I think the Spence and Crawford fight has been built up so much, and they have really big fan bases, and they've already proven that they can get people to tune in. Well, Errol Spence has already proven he can get people to turn in. At least 500,000 people, maybe 600 on a really good night, will tune in specifically to watch Errol Spence whoop some A. And Terence Crawford, you know, he's done very poorly on pay-per-view for his last fight. But in the past, he's been able to generate somewhere around 300 to 400,000 buys. If you put that together, you're extremely close to 1 million buys already. So, you know, you would think that Eddie Hearn would be predicting at least 1 million buys. But I think, like I said in the past, when I was talking about content sales and the DAZN app and why specifically the Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis fight did so well, had a lot to do with the DAZN app.
Just try to get the employee discount, if you don't mind.
You know you don't work anymore. And you're supposed to turn that shirt back in.
Is that, okay, how about the Memorial Day weekend discount? I was in the military. I was in the Army, Navy, I was a Coast Guard, I was a police officer, I was a kid soldier, I was a GD, Crip Blood.
We all know that you have not served a single day in the military.
Okay, how about the gay pride weekend discount?
Mike, you're not gay. What you mean?
Well, today I identify myself as gay.
Which letter are you?
Out of the LGBTQ, I'm U for undecisive.
Get him.
Come on, let me just get my discount. My brother, I just want a discount.
And I think this is why Eddie Hearn is saying what he's saying, because he knows what the truth is that those people who already purchased the DAZN app were basically getting it for free, but you're going to add all those people into the final number, especially if they actually viewed the fight. So, you know, there's thousands of people, I'm sure, that have the DAZN app, and I don't think that they were all there specifically for Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis. You know, they purchased it because they like DAZN's product, and, you know, as a client of DAZN or as a purchaser of DAZN, well, you add it to DAZN's numbers. And I think that being that PBC doesn't really have an app or, you know, a major corporation like DAZN backing them to put their content on an app, I think he's sort of right that they have to strictly rely on pay-per-view numbers to make their nut or to get their money back. And, you know, perhaps there was a little dig or a shot at PBC.
When you come with the jet, boom, hit the right here. You go up again, boom,
knowing that they don't have that luxury like the DAZN app on their side, and them adding it into the Ryan Garcia Gervonta Davis fight, I think is what really pushed it over the top. Now, even with all that being said, I think that Errol Spence Terence Crawford still does more than 1 million pay-per-view buys. I think the anticipation is that high. I think the fan fare for it is there, and it's been there. I don't think it's going to do Maypac numbers, but I definitely think that, you know, the fans are going to show up for this one. And especially if it's a real good fight, they're going to show up and they're going to rewatch it. So they're going to get replays of that fight, I think, on the same night too, if it's a really good fight. Now, if it turns out to be a stalemate, a crappy fight, I mean, if people have already purchased it, it's really not going to matter, is it? And we will just have to pay for that on the back end like we did with Mayweather Pacquiao. Nobody knew going into that fight that it was going to be so crappy other than Floyd Mayweather, who knew about Manny Pacquiao's shoulder injury. So he was able to, you know, do things during the fight and accomplish things during the fight that we might not have known on fight night why he was doing them. But once all the stuff started coming out, then you go, oh, okay, it makes sense now. But the fight was very boring, and to have a $100 ticket attached to it, you kind of felt ripped off after you purchased that fight. And I feel the same way about this fight. If we get a very boring fight, let's just say Errol Spence is really dominant, you know, he just dominates Terence Crawford the entire fight. Terence Crawford can't really fight back. Errol is just that good. I mean, is that really worth $100? And vice versa. If Terence Crawford pitches some amazing shutout, his hand speed is too much for Errol Spence's slow, clunky feet, you know, was that really worth $100 to watch that? You know, we're looking for a battle of the welterweight greats, you know, in this fight. And I think that would be worth $100. But if we don't get that, especially if there is a 2-fight, the second fight is going to be even worse than the first fight was. The beauty of Maypac is, especially for Floyd Mayweather, is that there was a one and done. You know, you don't get that second chance. So you, even all these years later, you have to go back and rewatch that fight, and just to enjoy the little bit of, you know, nostalgia that comes along with it. Even though the fight was boring, I'm not sure how many people are rewatching it, but the beauty of it is, you know, for Floyd Mayweather's sake, is he doesn't have to risk getting beat. Same thing for Juan Manuel Marquez. You go back and watch that fight where he knocked Pacquiao out. The beauty of it for him is he doesn't have to risk getting beat again. So, you know, there's nostalgia within that fight because we might not ever see those two guys face off again. With Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, I think if it's a boring fight and then you get a boring rematch, there's not going to be any nostalgia attached to that fight. People are not really going to care, and both of those guys, whether one retires because they took 2 losses, or, you know, both guys end up with a loss, you know, maybe they go 1-for-1, it's going to hurt both of those guys' careers if the fight is boring. If the fight is boring, both guys are going to take a hit. And I don't care who wins or who loses or undisputed. If it's boring, both guys are going to take a hit. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. Hit the like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tube, so holler at me over there. If you like to collabo, feel free to hit my Gmail. It is flockofcards@gmail.com. And we are live.
I got what you need. Fast or slow, girl, what's your speed? You handcuffs, I set you free. You a bad chick, I must say. Come with me, girl, right away. She want a double stack, no cheese, meaning other than the pill, I can get it for free. No fee, thick as MUD. OMG, LOL, SMH. You come with me, then you'll be straight. Don't give a damn, let the mother niggas hate. Turn around, let me concentrate. Yeah, they don't trip. I got what you need. 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 Damn, you cold and so's your friend. But she say they don't like me. Please don't act like you don't know. Style is genius, stupid flow. My ego so big you might park on it. Nowadays my style got bite marks on it. Great white shark, homie. You acting kinda strange, quite narc, homie. Move back, homie. I'm looking at that ass. She way past boning. Take her to the crib, have her way past moaning. I almost fell when she threw that ass on me. Don't trip. I got what you need. Don't trip. I